Welcome to WinDev Live Weekly Webinar number 3. It's December 16, 2011, about 7 a.m. Pacific time. Today we have BenDell and Fredy Diaz Pernett from Spain. They will be talking today about topics in WinDev, hopefully 16, maybe 17, who knows. Anyway, I'm going to let Ben come on. And welcome.
Welcome, thank you.
So you're on.
Okay, thank you. Well, a few of you guys know me. I'm a old-time Clarion developer, and recently I started looking around for a second or an alternative tool to do my development in, and I came across WinDev. Thank you, Mauricio. And I was surprised at how easily it fit into my current tool set and my current skills. And I've been developing with WinDev now for 3 months. And today I'm going to share with you guys how I'm doing a SOAP service integration with WinDev. One of the things that I need to mention is that we do not develop our own products. We develop software on request from our clients, so we are contract programmers, if you want to put it that way. Which means that we do a lot of very interesting stuff and a lot of very boring stuff. Now, one of the things that happens in South Africa is that when you sell a service to somebody, you can have them pay for that service by putting a debit order against their bank account. All it basically is an instruction that you can electronically get data from their bank account and transfer it to your bank account on a monthly basis. Now, obviously, you don't want this to be a manual process. You want it to be an automated process. You don't want somebody putting their finger in the pie or forgetting to do something that they should have been doing, and you sitting with less money or even more money than what you're supposed to be getting. Okay, inside South Africa there is a company, and let me just get them on the screen here. They're called Netcash, and they allow us through a SOAP service which they publish to upload electronic instructions to do debit order collections. Okay, so what we will do is I'm going to use WinDev now to download their WSDL file, their SOAP definition interface file, and then I'm going to import that into WinDev and create a class structure in WinDev which I'm going to be using. Okay, so let's get going that. Sorry, Arnold, can you see what I'm showing? Am I going too fast or too slow? No answer. Okay, everybody's sleeping.
It's perfect. I'm on mute, so it took me a while to find my second mouse. Sorry.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and create a project in WinDev. I'm going to go to File, New, and I'm going to create a new project. And I'm just going to go and create a project in an area which I've already prepared for it. And it's going to be the WinDev webinar, and I'm going to call this my Netcash project, and I can put a summary here if I want to. I can attach documentation to the project, and I'm just going to quickly attach existing documentation. The existing documentation which I'm going to attach is on my C drive, my projects, WinDev documents, and one of the things is the NetFTP introduction and the CSV upload file. So it copies to my directory, and it's going to be a normal Windows application. Linux, or I can decide later, but in this instance it's a Windows application on the Windows platform. I'm not going to set up a team now for it, and I'm not going to use source code management for it now. I'm going to use a standard programming charter, and and this is one of the very nice things, is I'm going to make it in English and in Afrikaans. And I will create a new database for it, and it will be a Hyperfile SQL Classic, which is similar to our TPS files. The Hyperfile file client server is a SQL database, which is actually very nice, but I'm going to use this one for now. Interesting, I can have quite a few native databases I can connect to, and a very nice one for me is the SQLite or the Postgres, but I'm going to use that one for now. And
hey Ben, it's a database, so you could choose more than one.
Yes,
you choose more than one because it says types. Okay.
Okay, what I'm going to show you now. And now you will see why you can choose more than one. Let's say I'm just going to set up quickly a file definition, which is similar to our dictionary. So I'm going to pre-select one of the standard files which they've given us, and I'm just going to use the customer one. And I'm not going to do much to it, I'm just going to set it up. Okay, now what you will see here is there's the definition of the table, and if I go into it, I can set up every field, and I can set up the properties, the GUI interaction, what it looks like, a lot of things. Okay, I can also tell this table that it should be using a different type of connection. Now, how this works is I can go and I can set up connection types. So I can set up more than one connection type, and at runtime I can determine to which connection this table belongs. So let's quickly set that up. I can set up one. Let's set up one locally, and let's see if there's databases I can. Let's say I will use that one. There might already be a database, and I will associate that table with that database connection. There we go. So on my connection type for this table, I have that connection now. But I can also go and in my analysis go and set up more than one connection. So I can add another connection here. And I can say that is to an external database, and that could be whatever you want. To an Access database. You get the idea. So, and at runtime you can select which of these connections you want to work with, or you can actually set up a new connection at runtime. But that's not here or there. So I've got a little table here which I'm going to work with. And that's actually not part of the SOAP stuff, but it's just getting a dictionary there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to say I want to import a web service, which I'm going to work with. So I click on import, and it tells me I can either download a web service from a specific address, which is on the internet, and if you need a username and password to get access to it, you can enter it in to get to the WSDL file. But I'm going to import one which I've already downloaded. So I'm going to import the WSDL file from here, and I download it. Now if I click at the bottom to import mode compatibility with version 14, it actually creates a lot of procedures and classes for me, which I don't want at this time. I want to make use of the new functionality in WinDev 16 for my service. So I click on Next, and it tells me it's imported. Now, these people weren't very original, and they called their service name Service. So what we see is the service name called Service is imported. Okay, and for the service, I've got a request an action date. Now, in this instance, when I want to upload debit order instructions, I need a specific date which is valid for the instruction to run. And that's the one I'm going to demonstrate today. So what I can do is I can query their SOAP server and say, give me a valid date for when I can run the following instruction. Upload batches, request authorization, unauthorization, all of that stuff. So what the system has also done is it said to me, there are the properties of that action date, and there's a response, and what do I get back from the response? Okay, that conforms to what we are looking at here. If we look at this, we will see that this is what has been given to us, and these are the messages which is available. Now, you see there's a in and a out for each one and so on, but when you go down to the bottom, you see there's the actual operations which we are working with, and this operation is called request action date. Okay, everybody so far? Now, I've just imported the WSDL definition into WinDev. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to actually go and use it. So my first thing which I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new window, and in this window I'm going to set some settings and then call the SOAP service. So I'm just going to do a blank window for now. I'm going to save that, and I do not want to perform live data update. So there's my window I'm going to work with. Now I'm going to propose a date to the SOAP service, and then I'm going to get the date back. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop an edit control on here, but I don't want to drop just any edit control. I want to drop a date selection on there, and I like to just extend it a bit, and there's a date selection edit control. There's quite a lot of other pre-set controls which you can use, and then just bring them over. Okay, so at this point in time my control is not linked to anything. It's just a Windows control which is sitting there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop a button on here, and I'm going to press this button and ask the SOAP service to validate the date for me. Obviously what I also need for that is they don't just allow anybody access, so I need a username and password and a PIN. So I'm just going to add, and unfortunately I have to do it now with passwords. I'm going to just create a username, a password, and a PIN entry controls here. So that will be my username, and in Afrikaans, because I said this is the English Afrikaans system, that will be gebruikersnaam. Okay, now what you see is on the username it's long enough, but if I go back, and you can see that in the Afrikaans version is longer than the English one. Now very interesting with WinDev. Let me just compile that. And I tell it that's the first one. Now look at this. At the bottom here, you will immediately see the system warning me that the control is too small to display the caption property correctly in one of the languages. Now, that's like having a whole team of testers going through your program with you while you're developing. It just makes it so nice to use the system. So what I'll do is I'll extend that, run it again. Okay, now that has disappeared, so I know that's correct. So now it's giving me some other issues, but I'm not going to be attending to those issues. Let me just set this up. Okay, so I will make that the password, and I will make this one the PIN. Okay, this is all just preparation work, and I like to just take a moment and just put a nice little caption over it and say, okay, this is my setup. There we go. And then I will change this to request and there we go. Okay, so I've got my username, password and PIN, my data I'm interested in, and I'm going to send a request to this SOAP server here. Now I'm going to go into the code behind this button, and let me just save this window. And the reason I'm saving it is I actually want the controls to display, so I can just drag them across. I can, for instance, take that and drag the control name and work with it, or I can start typing the control name and it tells me all the controls which is on the current screen. So I'm going to do, firstly, I'm going to create an object against this, and I'm going to say my service action request date. So my, let's say, service request to US. And what I can do is I can actually drag from here behind that setup. Just hold on. The actual the request action date. Request action date. I drag that method across, and it says what is my variable I want to type in here. So I can say my service request is to request action date. So I've created an object which I can work with in my code. And while I've got it over there, you can see that at this point in time I've created a variable which is not being used anywhere in the system yet. So this the system keeps track of things like that as well. Okay, now I'm going to do a request, but I've also got a response which is going to come back. So I can take that and I can drag another one, and I say my service response is to the request action date response. Now I'm going to start filling in information into these properties of this method. So I'm going to say my service request dot, and my username equals, and that will conform to the username I've set up on my controls, which is that one of those ones. I haven't changed the control names. Let me just quickly change that to make it more realistic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that, and I'm going to say edit username, edit password, which is then fine, and edit the PIN number. Okay, and let's get that back there. Okay, so if we go back to our code, equals, let me just save it, and I can say it's going to be the username, my service request. Now can you see that because I've used the my service request again, it did not bring me back the long list of possible information. It actually already shortened the list for me based on my previous selections inside this list. So it's my service request dot password equals edit password, and my service request PIN equals edit PIN. Okay, now let's just close that. Now I've got to propose a date. There's a date which I want to send my information. My service request dot tdate equals, and that would be my edit date 1. But I'm not sure of the format. Now, unfortunately, these people have an issue on their server, and they formatted the dates wrong on their server. So what I'm going to do is I need to send a date that's in this format. I need to send a date that's in that format. So I'm going to say I'm going to format my date, which is a date to string, that date, and I'm going to format it in the format year, months, day. Okay. One of the things that the difference between Clarion and WinDev is in Clarion we do this, and in WinDev we do that. So in Clarion it's a single quote mark, and in WinDev it's a double quote mark. In Clarion we put the exclamation mark for comments, and in WinDev is 2 slashes for comments. Okay. Now the date portion, I'm just going to add onto this date. So I'm going to add plus, and I'm going to add a T00:000 plus, and I'm in a 2 hours GMT time zone. So that's my request date. Then I'm going to start just auto-filling the rest of the stuff. That batch instruction, I know in my instance I want to make it a B, and my service request dot forward action date equals a 1. Okay, that just tells it that if the date I propose is not available, it should give me another date. And there I have formatted my request, which is going to go out. So now I'm going to say my service response is equal to request action date my service request. And that is all the code I need to contact the SOAP server and send it my request. So obviously I need a response, so I'm just going to quickly validate the response. So I'm going to say, if there's a error occurred, if an error has occurred, then I'm going to show, yes.
Ben, in the response,
Yes.
you got a CE instead of a SE in my service response.
Well, that's just my variable is spelled
you
like
spelled
that.
It that way. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
if you see at the top here, where I highlight now, I actually spelled it like that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So now, one of the things you will see here.
Can I ask you a question? If you corrected it up on top, will it automatically refactor down below?
I'm not sure. Let's have a look. I know this hasn't been saved yet, so I don't think so. What I think is, and what I do know is, if this has been used somewhere else and the actual procedures have been saved to the disk, then it gets into the database of where it's been used. And then it will actually prompt you. So actually, let's just leave that like that and then have a quick test on that just now. So,
okay. Andy
so I'm saying
has his hands raised. Do you mind answering?
Yes.
Go ahead, Andy.
Speak.
Unmute yourself, Andy.
Okay. Okay. Now, what you will see here, I created the error and I typed something in here. Now, there's a little box with a 2 that came up there. Now, what that is this is the multilingual message editor as you are working. Because I told it I'm actually developing in 2 languages, any message that's going to go to the user obviously depends on what language you're using. So error retrieving data, which is the default on English, and then I'm just going to add the Afrikaans one. Okay, so it's telling me there's 3 languages in which it can create an error, show an error. Also, when you're typing something, let's say info, and I'm typing my text, okay, and then you press Control P, it automatically pops up the box for allowing you to add multiple languages information in there. Okay, sorry, I just read the Skype. Yes, Dave, that's the W language. W language is very close to Clarion. And the reason why I personally have chosen the W language is because it doesn't force you to go and create interface classes between your code and your data objects. It's already built into the language, the same as with Clarion. The data access is built into the language. And it just simplifies things so much. So, okay. So I'm just going to add an else in here. and I'm going to say, I'm just going to do an info. And the info will be, I will return an action date, which is in a string format obviously, so that will be string to date, and that will come from my service request response dot the request action date result value, and that will be formatted in year, months, day format. And I'm not going to select a question, my question is fine. So that, as far as I'm concerned, is the total code that's needed to interact with the service to get an action date from them. Now I'm going to hold my thumbs and my hands and my toes and compile this and run it and see that it actually works or not. Okay, so let's quickly compile. Now I can just compile straight here, or I can set up quite a lot of interesting settings. I can give the system a name and it keeps these settings. I can do an animation splash. I don't want splashes. Include the main library in the executable, multiple or single instance running of the program, internal error messages, allow the end user to use macro code to add their own commands into the system. Allow the system to be updated by patches, executable languages, all the libraries that's going to be implemented, components that's going to be implemented, which could be part of it. Let's do that. A lot of other stuff, and I can just stop here and just tell it compile and let me run the program. Okay, and Komodo says it wants to have a quick look at things there, and it pops up the step. Now immediately I can already see I've got a bit of an issue here, but the system will warn me about that as well. So I'm going to just put in a username here. And I'm going to propose a date, and I'm going to say the 16th, and I'm going to do a request. And I knew it's going to give me this error, but the system is giving me an error, and it allows me to actually look at what the problem is. And in this instance, it's a compilation error. The code cannot run, and it's on the button named button no name. Okay. We can see where the problem is. If there's any assistance that can run, we can copy this to the clipboard, save this into a dump file which the guys can email directly to you, or you can open the debugger and run it. I'm not going to open the debugger now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say my action date, which the system returns, is what I want to see there. Okay, so let's quickly go and compile that again. Now there's no error there. I don't want to display the tips at startup. Let's quickly do that. I'm going to request the 16s. And as you can see, I requested the 16s, but the SOAP server brought back information to say, you cannot send stuff through today. The first next correct action date is on the 21st of the 12th. And that is developing a client to interact to a SOAP server using WinDev 16. Any comments, queries, questions?
Fantastic. Brian or anybody? That's great.
Okay. Anybody that want to comment or ask a question around this?
Can I ask about this doing your web service?
Yes.
I have other questions. I have other questions other than that.
Yes. After this, I just want to explain. After this, I'm quickly gonna create a UML class diagrams from a database, and then generate the classes out of that for use as an example. But I think at this point we can take a few questions, and so if you don't mind.
Oh, let's do it. Anybody have questions? Raise your hand or type it into the WinDev Skype. And I have some questions that's not WSDL related.
Okay.
Like, after you save this, can I refactor the my service response?
Oh, let's quickly have a look at
variable,
that.
And does it?
Okay, let's quickly look at that because we have saved it. And let's save that. Okay. Now it looks like at this point in time, no. But
it shows it red right there.
But it shows it red. But what I could do is, if I go there and I go to cross references, it's because it's inside the same code piece of code. I don't think it's going to show here. But let's say, for instance, I did the following. My service response, and I want to go and create a global procedure containing that code. So I will say my service response, the procedure is no, not a global procedure. We will have to go do a local procedure for that code.
But we could have easily done rename all, right? So throughout the whole project.
Yeah, it should actually. Let's do a local procedure for that because these are not defined. Okay, let's do that. We're gonna cut them and define them globally to the project. Okay. Gotcha. So when I go then back to my let's look at that one, and I obviously need to save everything. Okay, I'm trying to quickly do something here which I haven't tested out before. So let's not there. Sorry, there. That's global to the procedure. To the project. So when I get back here, there we go. Now you can see also now they are blue, which means that they're coming from somewhere else. They're not from this procedure. Okay, so if I go now, let's quickly save this. And if I go now and I go and change that, then it tells me, whoa, what is the impact of this modification? and I can actually go and show the code, and it shows me all of the places where this code is being used. Now, I don't know if you can tell it to automatically do the changes for you, but it does show you the impact of doing that change in that code.
Okay.
The rest of it I will have to go and see, okay? So I'm sure if they can get the impact of the code for you, they can also do the changes for you.
Yeah, I would think so. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, but just
Somebody
having a look at
run into
this.
that someday. And
Yeah, but just having a look at this and doing the change. Um,
yeah, you're back in sync again.
let's just go there.
Yeah, no reds.
There we go. I haven't refreshed it, so there we go. So if it can tell you the impact of changing code, like we've just seen there, then obviously there should be ways of doing the code changes for you. Okay, and obviously it now proposes, when it's read, what should the actual name be based on the change that was done. And if we go back to that, we can see it's changed the name. Now, why it's put a G in front of it is because I'm working off a, what they call it,
the charter for
programming charter, yes.
For global, right?
Yes, I'm using a programming charter, and the charter tells me that for global page variables, it should be prefixed with a G. Global project variables, it should be prefixed with a G.
And it puts it there automatically.
And it puts it there automatically. So, and I can override it, and I can say, I don't actually want that. And then it tells me, deleting that once again brings back this for me, and what the impact would be. So let's just leave it for there now. So we're done with that. So, so that is the code, and I just want to bring this code back here so it's all contained in one place. There we go. That is all the code to interact with a web service in WinDev 16. What they call the new way of interacting with web services. Okay, other questions?
Sweet. Any questions, anybody? Not. I have one more question.
Yes.
Yeah, Ben. I noticed that every time you do your Control P or you change the text for the different languages, is there a place where you can access that all in one place instead of on every control?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Let me just get it. It's too much for me. Let me just see where that is. Display.
But there is, though, huh?
Yeah, no, there's a pane. Maybe somebody has a.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe we'll search that out.
You know that the same pane that's in Clarion, that same type of pane.
Mm-hmm.
I've had it the other day, man. There. Okay, so if I select something, I'm sure it's this one. Let me just have a look. There we go. There's a by category and by name. So there's a, can you see this pane?
So that's like a properties pane.
It's like a properties pane, and you can actually go and edit the stuff in here if you really wanted to. Yes, no, go and change that to dates, and then you will see it's gone and changed it here. So there is a possibility of doing that all in one. But that's too overwhelming for me. I like going through this one, and the reason why I like going through this one, sometimes it actually pops up some very nice wizards which helps you to do your work.
Yeah, the question I had though was the language itself. When you change the language, you had the two languages. Is there one place where you can say, for the whole project, I'm going to have somebody
yes,
translate?
Yes, there's a translation ability which is not standard there. No, not that one. There's a translation utility which is not standard with the default product, which you can purchase separately. And then what you do is it actually takes all the interaction code in your system, and it allows you to externally to the program translate all that code for you.
Okay, I got it.
The second thing is, while you are actually busy developing, you can have the system, and let me just find that, you can have the system do the translation for you automatically. You could even do it via Google and say that your source language is that and your destination language is something else. And as you are developing your system, this would go and any one of these, and I think this is PCSoft's one, use this external translation service and translate your code and your information for you. Okay. Yes. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use this. Thank you. I'm just gonna go ahead and use this same little app. I'm just gonna grab a. No, not that one. Let's quickly put that style on here and see how the. Oh no, I don't like that style. Let's use that one. No. No. The one I like best is this one. Let's look at Ubuntu. Oh, that looks okay. The one I like best is this one. For my own personal reasons. Okay, so let's close that window. So what we've got here is we've got one window, one global procedure, and one service that we've been working with. We can see the tip of the day is there. We've got two languages we're working with. Gets a bit used to getting this interface, but it's actually very nice. Okay, so one of the things which I quickly want to show while we are here is I want to create a unit test on this window. So I can go and I can run this test and I can say, okay, I'm going to type something in there, type something in there, type something in there, click that, press that button, and I'm done. Now I want to create that out of a test. So I go there and I say, convert the last test to a unit test. And I can go and add data into this test which I want to. And let's call that scenario 1 and close this test, and we can actually go and run this test again, and it does the interface test. So the window was not closed by the test. That's one of the That's one of the things which I haven't put in there. But there's a unit test. And I can save that test into the system. And whenever I'm running my compiler, like here, I can run the compiler and I can generate that, or I can go to automatic test and I can say run the tests, and it runs all the tests for everything in the system, and it gives me a result back on all the tests that was run in the system. It also tells me the details of the tests. Now obviously I've only scratched the surfaces on this. There's a massive amount of information that's available here. I can also go and I can, for my project, I can do audit. So it can tell me there's 2 GUID errors. I can go click on them and it will show me the GUID errors. There's a spell checking is not enabled, 2 unused files in your directory, tells me the libraries. Now the tip of the day, because of this very small little program, the tip of the day library is very big in this instance. You know, very interesting stuff like that. Okay, so we've got this table for customer, and that's in our analysis. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to create a UML diagram from this, and then from the UML diagram I'm going to create classes which we can use. And the reason for that is I want to create a 3-tier application, and my 3-tier application is going to be the display level, the data access level, and then the in-between level, which is basically where my business rules is going to lie and all the processing happens on my data. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've got my data source, and then I'm going to go to analysis, and I'm going to say where is it, generate a UML diagram corresponding to the analysis. So I'm going to say, okay, that's my only table which I've got, and I can say if it will generate procedural code or object-oriented code. Object-oriented code will generate my classes for me. Generate that, and there is my class. Now this is, in this instance, if we go and we look at the types of UML diagrams which can be generated, this is a class diagram which is typically used for reverse engineering and 3-tier and so on. You've got your use cases, your object diagrams and so on, but we're not interested in that. So what I've got here is my class. Now there's a lot of information in here, so might not have been a good choice, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there and I'm going to say, okay, operations. Let's say, what do I want to do with the operation, and I want to put a new operation and say calculate age. So calculate the customer age. That's one of the operations. And what I will do, one of the parameters is, let's say date today. Public, it's not virtual, and it's handled by that. So there is my class, my operation. So what I can do now is, once I've done this, I can go to my workshop. Well, let's first save that. I'm so used to saving, it comes from Clarion days. I can go to workshop. Where's my UML model? UML modeling, and I will generate the code. Now I will use that class to generate the code. And if I go to my classes, there's my CC class generated from my UML diagram. There's my members, and there's the calculate age. Okay, so I can go in there, and there's a parameter, and the parameter we can call, well, let's just leave it there. So I can go and add my data. In there. Okay, so using these classes I can do it. Now let's say I go back to my class and I go and add a new property on there, and let's go, I add new member response, and then string equals, see, there comes a Clarion through, and that's saved. Then what it should have done is it went back to my UML diagram, and it actually took my changes to my class and it updated my UML diagram with the changes to my classes. So it's a two-way update between the classes and the UML diagrams. Just as a side issue, and this is now a very simple explanation of how the whole development environment works together with each other and updates from one place to everywhere else. Now obviously we can create a lot of other types of classes, packages, and all of them are all interlinked with each other inside the one development environment. Okay, so that's just a very fast introduction to how to use UML classes to generate your actual classes for you. How to use UML class diagrams to generate your classes for you, and how your UML diagrams are updated when you actually edit your own classes.
And
Okay,
people who aren't familiar, and people that are not familiar with WinDev, when he used the word analysis, it's kind of like your data dictionary, right?
Yes, that's the data dictionary there. This is the analysis. And what makes it so nice, let's quickly go and add a new table, and I'm just going to take an existing table again. And I'm just going to link these two together, and I'm going to say, now I see Fredy likes doing it there, I like doing it here.
Now, what are you doing there?
I'm just setting the link definition. So each customer has at least one credit line? No. So a customer can be without a credit line. Each customer can have several credit lines.
Many to many,
yes.
Or one to many, right?
Many to one or whatever. Now I know Fredy likes doing it here. You know, so when you change it there, and this is one of the types of wizards which I was talking about. I like going through the settings which WinDev gives you, because it's got all these nice leading wizards. Now for a guy like me coming from Clarion, where you had to know this stuff to be able to actually use it, this thing is just leading you all the way. Then it says you can create new key or use a current one. Then you can define the rules, and there's your link. And you can take that link and you can move it around if you don't like the way it's there, and you can say, okay, this whole system is adaptive, and that's your dictionary. So the guys that knows Dupi's dictionary modeler or data modeler, It's the same type of concept, except this one you can actually print and you can work with it and you can change it here. And if you change something here and you save it, then it tells you, do you want to synchronize the rest of the project? And obviously you do. And you can see what the synchronization is about. And it goes ahead and it goes and synchronizes your project for you. Now obviously we didn't have anything based on that, so there we go. That is basically what I wanted to show with WinDev 16 today. It's a SOAP and then just a few small little issues regarding how to use the IDE. Thank you.
Very cool. Very cool. Andy said, please have him go to the project view. I don't know why he can't talk.
Okay. Oh, you mean where is it? Project, list of project elements. No, not that one. Draft. Is this the one he's talking about?
Andy? He has his mic. I don't know why he's not talking. Still muted? Is that the project view, Andy?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Okay, I lost you last time I did this. The reason why I wanted to see this, I wanted to see whether or not the C customer class generated into the project view, which looks like it does.
It does there, yes.
So yeah, you can double click on it and should be able to get in all the class information from there as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
You can work with it there.
It's just I just wanted to know that from the UML that it actually generated it and put it in the project view, because I don't use the
Yes, yes.
How did you get to that again? How did you get to that again?
I just went to project and the graph of the project.
Yeah, okay. Oh, good, yeah, that's right.
You see, what I can do also is, let's say for instance, and you will notice that unlike Clarion, you've got a single list of windows here. So I can go and generate a lot of windows. Let me quickly go and generate a table based on that customer, and I'm just going to go through and do that. And there's a table based on the customer, and the reason why it's done it so big is because obviously there are memo fields and it's taking that into account, and I just want to go and tell it that the maximum lines displayed in a row is 2, otherwise it becomes too high, and that's resizable. And let's see, I like doing this. Customer table, I like doing even, I don't like that, I like it like that, and horizontal, I like dotted lines, things like that, you know. I can go and change a lot of things, but okay, let's save that. Now, this becomes too much for me, you know. This becomes way too much for me. And if these two items are related, there will be a line between them. So let's quickly go there and say I'm going to drag a button in there, and I'm just going to do a preset action and open a window, which is that one. Okay, so if I save that and I go back there, we save that. Oh, sorry, I just closed the project. Let's get the project back. There should be a line. So somewhere along the line, I think might be compiling or whatever, it will start linking all these types of stuff. But my main thing I'm getting at is I want to create a new custom folder, and I'm going to say this is where all my web services related information is lying. So I'm going to take that and drag it into the web services. So it creates a folder for me, and when I go to the web services, I can see, and I can have my reports, and I can have my classes and stuff in there as well. So I can double click on web services, and there it is. And when I come back, I can see it's updated, and it will show me everything that's in that custom folder. And if I add more information, there will be a second one and a third one, and so on. So this whole project view is a very, very nice thing to work with. Yeah.
Maybe
So,
we'll do a thing on that someday and trade notes. If
yes.
you're done,
Thank you.
We have, yeah, I think, Fredy, did you want to kick in here? Thank you so much. I mean, clap, clap, clap.
Hello? Hello?
Yeah, Fredy?
Yes, of course.
I'm gonna switch you to presenter now, okay?
Okay, perfect.
And then Ben, I'm gonna make you back to participant. Thank you so much, Ben. That was fantastic.
Thank you, Ruben. Okay.
You need to share your desktop now.
Okay, sure. Where is share? Share, yeah.
You don't
Share
see
my
it.
screen. Okay, share my screen, desktop applications, desktop, first monitor. Okay.
Wait, we don't see your
Have you
desktop.
seen my monitor?
Now we do.
Okay.
Is there people talking in the background?
Yeah, are you seeing my monitor?
Yes, we see your monitor.
Perfect. Okay, now we have a little time. We talk about a few topics and continue the next Monday, okay?
Okay.
Perfect. Okay. Now we talk about direct SQL DB engine and nested tables and report with parameters. Okay. Perfect. Okay. I have the example of the past week. I show my screen. The table now is the table that you're seeing in your screen now, and now this is a table in the for example I have a table loaded by a query, that's right, but now I will load the records using SQL directly instructions. Okay. I put a button. This button is manual load using SQL. I show you. Okay. The first thing we need to do is to create a variable at the type data source. Okay. I used a variable command in order to save a SQL instruction. Here is a very easy instruction. Okay. Select field 1, comma, field 2 from table. Okay. And now I use just let me wait a moment. Vicente, ¿ya terminaste de hablar? No.
Sí. No.
Si quieres puedes cerrar un poquito ahí porque se nos mete en la conferencia. Ciérrate la puerta un poquito para que.
Gracias.
Ok, listo. Aló. Perfect. Okay. The first step that we need to do is to create a data source variable. This variable have receive the output of SQL. Okay. Whatever output that the SQL respond to your query, you can read. For example, output of a store procedure, a function, whatever. Okay. In this case, I will use a very simple SQL command. Select prefijo, comma, non-prefijo from table pre. Okay, and next we need to do is execute SQL query. It's a very easy instruction. I don't use SQL commands because are very more difficult than execute query. Okay, it's important to use this parameter. Okay, this parameter is to avoid that the hyperfile engine interpret or try to solve the query. Okay, obviously if you send a command to SQL, it's very easy to hyperfile to report an error, but it's not correct. Okay, so the first parameters is the variable, data source variable here. The second parameter is a connection. I show you the connection. You can, when you use a variable, you can click a F2 key, go to the definition of a variable. If I click Control F2, I come back to this site or place we are located. Okay, are you seeing? Hello? Hello? Okay, perfect. Okay, perfect. Okay, so the first parameter is a data source variable. The second parameter is the connection. I show you the connection, okay? I click F2 key and go to the global project definition and create a one variable type connection. Is connection ISO is a connection type variable, okay? Here, I put a little example reading the parameters from ini file. Okay, it's a very easy way to read parameters. The second is open connection, is to open the connection that I created, and change connection. Here you see an asterisk in the a double. I don't know who is the name of his character, and then the connection. The connection name. Okay. Double quotes. Thank you. And next, I have a few instruction very useful. Is creation is not found. If you use asterisk say whatever file that don't exist will be created. Okay, very easy, very useful. Okay, and go back to the command. Okay, Control F2. And go, and then these parameters are very, very, very important. Is H query without correction and H no bind. It's necessary to use Oracle and SQL Server. You need to put H no bind, okay? And then the command. Here the command is very easy. With that you can use a very useful trick. Is to use a square. What is the character? I don't remember the name. Let me show you. For example, I will create a new variable. The new variable is, for example, command2 is string. Okay, s command2 equal, open a red square and close, and you can put a very complex instruction. For example, select pre, comma, it's very useful to write. It's necessary to put all concatenation and all of stuff in a join. For example, pre on pre. And then very useful here is where.
So you can actually put a variable there and just pump in the string, right?
Yes, this is a very tricky but very useful. For example, select whatever complex command in ESQL that you need, but I put here a percentage. The percentage is a parameter. For example, where prefijo is equal to and single quotes percentage 1. Okay, and then I put write as the build string command. This command 2 is string build. Yes. Yes, of course. Yes. It's work today. Okay. In the string build, you can do the same as command, for example. And now the first parameter. The first parameter is, for example, 001. Okay. It's very useful to write this type of command and to avoid concatenation that has very some commands are very tricky, okay, very complex, too many parameters and whatever, okay. And now we continue to the explanation. Here I execute, okay, perfect, and if error, runtime problem, okay, else is if all is okay, because if you show the not prefix here, and then I will read the first instruction, because when you use SQL execute query, only run the command, not read the buffers, okay? You need to read the first record, and you use read first with the parameters are the connection, the data source, and then this command is very important. If you don't put IH not refresh, when you use read first, rerun the query. Obviously, this type of query is very easy, but when you have a very complex or very heavy to the engine command, will be in trouble. Okay. Next, I use here a record is HNB record. This command show how many records the query have to return in the data source variable. Okay. Then I use a bar, and then while node HO is will node end of file of data source, and this is a proc bar, table at line, name of the table control, and the variables. I prefer the hexecute SQL command because I refer to the command to the field returned by the engine. I not need, for example, in SQL command, in WinDev SQL command, you need to do SQL call 1, SQL call 2. It's too difficult. It's more easy. Use directly the command that you need. Okay. Okay. Go to test this. Okay. Now manual user. This is a program bar. Okay. Well, it's very easy to load because few records. Here I will load around 70,000 records. It's very easy. Around 5 seconds. You can load using OLEDB. Okay. Our connection is user OLEDB. I will load many. Okay. Was loaded 16,478 records. Okay. This is from one table, from other table. Okay. Loading the same table control. Okay. Are you seeing here? Here I use the table pref, and in the other button I use the record ser. That's right. Understood? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
We're all on mute, so I'm sorry.
Okay, very easy. And now I show you nested tables. It's very frequent use in application. Okay, and now we do to create two queries. This is a one query with one parameter. Okay, I copy this. And I put here there's a parameter here, new condition, parameter is equal to parameter. Okay. Okay. And now I will go to create some one screen. Okay. Delete, delete, delete. Okay. And then I put the first table is a father table here. Display data found in existing query, yes. The existing query is prefix. Okay. 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 Multi-selection, read-only table. Okay. Father table. Okay. And the child table. Put the type table here from a query, selected query. Okay. This will know. Okay. Okay, in the embedded of the father, I put the next code in row selection. I call the age execute query from the child mode query default and use the father's field. Okay, call prefix and table display. Selected. Okay, and that's all. It's very easy. Okay, let me check what happened here. Okay. The fathers need parameters. Here I will put the parameters. Null both parameters in order to show all records. Okay. Are you seeing? Very easy, eh?
Oh my God.
Very easy, no? Okay.
Hey, thank you very much. Any questions? We have a couple minutes, several minutes, and then we'll keep your other topics for the next time, right?
Okay, perfect. Okay, they continue the next Monday because I'm busy here. Okay.
No. That's fine. We got to stop it in 2 minutes anyway. And I don't know if we do it Monday or Friday, but we will announce it on Skype.
Okay, perfect.
And
Okay.
I'll talk
Have
to you when we can do it.
a nice weekend to all buddies. Okay, have a nice day.
Have a great weekend.
Okay.
We'll talk
Thank
to you
you.
all
Bye-bye.
later. Thank you for everybody for attending. And Ben,
I
thank you too.
will, Ribbon, I will send a link in order the people can download this example.
Okay. You're going to put it on screen.